Welcome to the Vision Profiles podcast. Join us dedicated Apple Vision Pro users as we dive into everything from hardware and software to apps and the latest updates in the world of Apple Vision Pro. I'm Marty Gensius, a faculty member at a Midwest university, podcaster, and an Apple product fan.
Oh, and I'm Eric Bolton. Totally distracted tonight. I work in IT, but my interest is in finding interesting ways to share content. Currently, photography of plants, birds, and panoramic sequences.
And I'm Dave Ginsburg. No, I'm Daniel Burkholder, a software engineer and technologist currently immersed in generative AI and AR/VR technologies.
Yeah, as we mentioned, Dave Ginsburg, before the show, Dave Ginsburg, we were attempting to get in, set up with this new frame arrangement. So if you want to see the new video and the new way I've put the frame together in Ecamm, take a look at the video. But Dave was in and ready to go, and then thunderstorm knocked him out. And he came back in with his cell phone, and he looked like the great and powerful Oz because the glow was coming from his cell phone and just illuminating his face. And the bandwidth issue was not working well for him. So he graciously bowed out for the evening, and we hope that the storms go well. He texted in the chat room that he had lost his power, but it wasn't too bad, but lots of thunder with what was going on with him there. Cletus has joined us in the chat room, and it looks like they're having a conversation about the weather, which is good. We have a conversation about Vision Pro to get to. You can follow the live stream at youtube.com/@visionprofiles on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, or catch the video later on YouTube or audio on any podcatcher service. And of course, our website is thepodtalk.net. News this week has been kind of weird. Of course, last week, just before the show rolled out, they did a beta 6 update. And we gathered some information on that and talked about what the issues were with the beta 6 update. Basically, no Apple documented user face features, i.e. Jupiter, called out for beta 6 versus beta 5. This looks like a stability kind of bug fix pass through. Testers might notice you're not going to find new features on it. Might notice that you're going to see some improved capabilities with it. Then, of course, today Apple rolled out all sorts of new betas. So the beta 7 rolled out around noon today is when I got it and got notice of it, and immediately put it on my headset, and then immediately searched for news in terms of what are the developer notes with beta 7. And I have been looking for beta 7 notes all day long. And I've gone to the other betas like the iOS beta 7. And sure enough, they have updated that information so you can find out what's new on beta 7. But I have been checking up until about 10 minutes before we recorded at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time to see if they had corrected or updated the notes for the beta 7 release. And when I get to it, it still gives me the beta 6 notes. So Apple's kind of fallen by the wayside on that. Have either of you loaded it yet?
Yeah,
Nope.
I did this afternoon, and I always troll through every setting possible just because I'm a nerd. But I didn't see anything that stuck out to me, and it's doing fine. It's performing the same. I hadn't noticed any difference. The only thing was it took a while to get it. Like it didn't want to see it for a long while this afternoon, but so far so good, I guess. In this case, without any notes, hard to say.
Yeah, it hasn't shown up for me yet, so
Yeah,
maybe later tonight.
when the notes come out, I'll do a comparison between the Beta 6 and the Beta 7, and maybe I'll put it in as a pro note tomorrow night or Wednesday morning to let you know what the differences are between it. I did kind of troll through Reddit. First thing I noticed was, just from my own experience with it, this is weird, and it might just be me. Maybe I never noticed it before, but with how the apps, when you have the homepage open and the apps are displayed, well, as you move your eyes to look at different apps, the button pops out. But what I noticed this time was the button, and then some component of the art that's on the button also pops out. So you have a real dimensional kind of look at the button. So it's not just the flat image popping up and raising up. It's the it's the button raising up and the flat image kind of activating some dimensionality to it. So that's something I saw, and it might have been on previous releases and I never noticed it at that detail. But I did notice it this time. So you might want to check that out when you get an opportunity. The other thing was no Jupiter. I went in and looked, and no Jupiter background. That was one of the things that was going to roll out at some point with this new version of the OS 26, but we haven't seen it yet. And then I saw something that is informative on Reddit. Someone who had loaded the Beta 7 said there is still no curvatured screen. You still can't get that full screen with the curvature on it if you're doing it, if you're using the Mac mirroring image, which has been promised with 2.6, that it's going to be a widescreen thing with some curvature on it, and that isn't available yet, at least on 7. So those are reports of what is and isn't there from what we can tell, but we really want to take a look at the developer notes to see what's up with that. Daniel, did you take a look at the immersive video, the orangutans?
Not the orangutan one. I did see the one last week though, which I thought was very good, but no, I hadn't. But if it's similar quality, I need to get on that right after this, actually, because the one last week with the rhinos,
yeah,
I thought that was like one of the best ones I've seen yet in terms of video quality.
Yeah, we had Andy email us and correct, because we talked a little bit about this immersive video. It's in Wildlife. It's the 4th release in that series. And we had Andy email us and remind us that it's orangutans. It's not orangutan. But he was very polite. He was very kind. He said, that's a common mistake. People say it rather quickly. And so it was nice of him to remind us of that, orangutans, and also be polite about it. So I just wanted to make that. Eric, have you seen the orangutans yet?
Yeah. They were good. Very good. Hair is superb. It's kind of wild, but it's superb.
I told a story to my wife, who has, I think, only put the headset on once and gave up on it really quickly because it requires kind of good eyes. She has macular degeneration, and it requires being able to focus on some of the stuff. But I got her to get on the device on, and I didn't do a guest setup. I just kind of took it off my head really quickly and put it on hers so she could see the orangutans. And it took us a while because, her eyes were not like my eyes. And so she was kind of missing the start buttons and things like that. But she got it going and was pretty impressed with the video. So that was kind of fun. And the hair was good, as you said. Really definitive hair on those little orangutans. So some things with Apple. We have a couple of, let's talk about this story because I think I just skipped over it, and it has been the news of the week, really. And everybody can't stop talking about it. This is Mark Gurman's article from the Power On newsletter that Apple Vision Pro is suffering from lack of immersive video. And I spoke a little bit about it last night on Pro Notes, so people might have heard my views on it from that. But I'm really curious, what were your thoughts on it if you had a chance to look at it?
Immersive video is a participation sport. It just means you need to get out there with your camera, take more video, save it, play it back, share it with people. So,
Daniel,
yeah.
Anything?
So when people talk about the Vision Pro, they always mention content. And I find that strange because I don't think about content when I think about a computer.
Mm-hmm.
And now if that is the thesis of this device, that is like an entertainment device, then this article, this theory, this makes 100% sense that and one could argue that it is kind of its best selling point, is its immersive video. I'd be okay with agreeing with that. And if that is its best selling point, then it really does have a lacking of it. But at least to me, I don't think of it as a big movie theater. So the idea of content and lacking of it, to me, is I don't care. I don't know why someone would care. Like, because you wouldn't say that about lack of a content on a MacBook.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You care, can it do a job I need it to do? So that's kind of where I sit on this idea. But kind of, again, like, I agree if that is the lens you're looking at what this device is.
And I didn't even think about it that way. I think you make some really good points about some, many people use this as a productivity device, not as necessarily as sure, we enjoy the movies and that's all part of it, but and maybe that's the big selling point in the product is the entertainment aspects of it are just absolutely amazing. But I don't think it falls on Apple necessarily to produce a lot of content when it's essentially a computer. And that's that's the intent of it, is to be part of your suite of what you're going to use for productivity. It's just the entertainment is really good on it. I file this as an opinion piece. This is his opinion. And unfortunately, one of the things I do in prepping for the show, and Dave Ginsburg turned me on to this. He texted me, he said, "Have you seen Gurman's article yet?" And I said, "No, this was sometime yesterday." And, he sent me a link to be able to look at it. And then I realized I'm still paying for Power On newsletter and got it, but then I can't share it here for that purpose because it's behind a paywall. So I managed to make copies for you guys to take a look at it, but it is an opinion piece. It's his opinion that this is a problem. I don't think he's wrong. I just think that he's putting the blame too much on Apple to produce content, when Apple's hope, I'm sure, is that you would have developers producing content for it. And so the problem is everybody has picked this up. In prepping for the show, what I do is I go to FeedSpot and I look at all the different articles that have come out in the last week, and I go in daily and kind of check to see what's new. And that's all this is. It's a replication of what this article is on different media providers, on different services, and in different countries. And some of these media folks, businesses are putting it out like every hour. So when I go and do a search, I just get flooded with this article in other languages and in other countries. So unfortunately, what's going to happen is that it's going to become bigger than it is. It's an opinion. And to that end, that's my thoughts about it. Any other thoughts in terms of this before we move on?
Yeah. I mean, if you think of this as sort of a developer or a preview development piece of hardware, then we have been getting previews of different ways of showing content, different camera angles, different ways of filming it, different people doing it. And it's been a very successful year of watching lots of different movies that people were really happy with, which is partly why everyone keeps saying, oh, could we have more content? Because they've really enjoyed it. That, as Daniel said, it's not the only reason why people are using the headset. So I don't know. A bunch of the camera systems are only just coming online. I think it's just the start of a ramp up of a lot more content, and things like the spatial gallery provides a whole slew of content that everybody gets to see, sort of the same content and share and discuss it. So to me, that is for now, more content and other ways of seeing it and behind the scenes. And I would just like to see more of that.
Yeah. And hopefully it will come. But in the meantime, I'll enjoy, and some of the complaints in the article was that, they have 2D and 3D movies, but 3D isn't exactly spatial. And, so you've got to say that's not enough if what you're pushing is this spatial photography platform. But yeah, it has been a big clickbait for a lot of news services because frankly, there's not a lot going on in terms of announcing what's going on with Apple Vision Pro. So everybody has picked this up and everybody's rewritten it in a way. And I think our take on it is it's Gurman, at least my take on it is it's Gurman's opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't think Apple's too worried about selling headset. He said at the best estimate, they sold 1 million of them. I'm like, okay, for basically a developer-based product, that's pretty good for a particular niche. There's just a lot of incongruities with that. If you can get a hold of the Bloomberg article, or maybe even looking at some of those other articles that are flooding the news media regarding this, I would take a look at it and be a little concerned. Now, the Power On newsletter not only just talked about Vision Pro, but this is the part we're talking about here. They did talk about other Apple devices, in particular in relationship to the stuff that had leaked around what new products are going to be available because of them being put into code. And that's another discussion we'll get into in a bit on the show. So one of the bits of news that has come out this week, there have been a couple of these that have been really exciting, and it's related to patents and what's available in terms of patents and what Apple is doing and submitting for patents. So one of the first ones I found, and we talked about this on a pro note, Apple introduces a patent that is about eye monitoring, and it features a Future Vision version that could be used for a Future Vision Pro that'll enhance users' comfort and awareness. Basically, it's using sensors that are already there to pay attention to what's going on with your eye and looking at ways to deal with light reflection and blink frequency and eyelid position and gaze direction and pupil management. What it's going to do is it's going to improve the image wherever you are looking at. And some of that occurs already we've heard of with the monitoring system, but this is a little different, and there are actual flow charts for what the process is going to look like. So there are people mentioned on the patent, but that's one patent. Another patent is one that's very similar. It unveils cutting-edge gaze tracking system used for optical coherence, and it will It'll allow for both standalone and hybrid gaze tracking. Hybrid configurations, the system combines traditional camera-based pupil tracking with rangefinder's distant measurements. The dual method enhances accuracy and reduces reliance on multiple glints. And some diagrams to go along with that to show you that how this might functionally work with it. And then the third one I want to talk about, because it was an article that was based on a patent, and I think we have some diagrams in here. This came out of Mac Observer. Apple reinvents battery design for Vision Pro headset to improve efficiency. And the gist of this is that there is apparently space within the mounted displays where the frame where they can embed batteries in. And it's going to help with the weight distribution, supposedly. I don't understand how that's going to happen, because if it's all front, you're going to have more on your front. But at the same time, they're talking about the panels that are on the side and potentially those containing some battery source. So yeah, I think we're looking at some important changes in terms of what the headset does and where those batteries could be embedded, which provides the opportunity for either a limited time where you can wear the headset without being tethered to a battery, or extending the tethered battery life because you have actually more power in the headset. Guys, any thought about these three or any one of the three?
I can't help on a lot of the eye tracking ones go immediately like crazy Big Brother, like conspiracy, because with all the different ways to track your eyes and what you're looking at. And they talk about some different things like being able to detect how dry your eyes are or how strained they are. And also combining other things like audio cues to perhaps direct your gaze in certain ways to maybe make it so your eyes are not as dry. So they'll like move your gaze over to the side, perhaps, to then get more distribution as you're blinking and stuff like that. And just thinking how much you can do with all that tracking. I start to go a little Big Brother and be like, oh, like, you know, it's already bad now how much you can track what people are looking at online, but then now like real eye, like what they really are looking at. So that's just kind of where my mind went. But the idea of it being able to, you know, like track your eyes in 4K essentially, like, you know, we already have really good foveated rendering. That's only going to get better.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, perhaps then it could even start doing things to enhance your vision with the pass through, perhaps, because it could maybe tell how well you're able to focus on things. And then maybe it could make them further things out further sharper than they would normally, even if you had like corrective lenses, and dynamically change that. Lots of things like you could get creative here once you have a lot more, you know, data in mind. And then on the getting clever with batteries and stuff, again, I went immediately negative and I'm like, batteries right here above my eyebrow. What happens if they pop?
Yeah. I thought that too. Yeah.
And then on the weight distribution, that does seem a little unintuitive initially, but then you think about it for a minute, like, well, it would at least bring the heavier stuff closer to your center of mass instead of further out, where like maybe if it's on like other headsets, right? Like it's kind of on the outside end of the headset or further back on the back of the headband. So I mean, that would make some sense too, or putting it on the side pods, because then it's just bringing that all in tighter to your center of mass on your big dome. So I can see that helping, but the question is how much power would that supply? Would it be worthwhile to do? Maybe if they could stuff it in there and have the 2-hour battery life that they have now in that form factor, cool. But if it's like, maybe it's a low power mode or something, an emergency mode, just a pass-through only mode, maybe, because that is kind of a thing with the R1. It kind of has like an emergency mode, so maybe they have like a low-power emergency pass-through mode that could last longer. I just wonder what you can do with how much you can stuff in there. But perhaps that actually could also signal to how they will manage battery on other Apple Vision devices like glasses.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Eric, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Justin had a good point in that if you build in a battery and make it more complicated, maybe it's harder to swap from one battery to the other. The thing I guess I was hoping for is you would get enough of a battery to allow you to do a battery swap without having to reboot. Would be kind of nice.
And they talk about that in this article. I appreciate Justin's comments on that because it made me think, yeah, the good part about this is I don't have to turn and shut everything down. I can just swap out because I have enough jam in my head to be able to keep the video going.
Yeah. And whatever they have, as long as you can plug power in and keep the battery going, I'm happy. Because I just keep mine plugged in all the time. And I get hours and hours of enjoyment.
You know, the thing that, Daniel, when you were talking about how good they can get, that's because they have all the sensors already. I can't see another system that's out there currently that can improve the video capabilities. And they do talk about improvement in pass-through and clarity and stuff like that because it's giving the headset actual data that it can use to make those adjustments. Whereas I don't think other devices have that level of ability to respond to the user based on the fact that they don't have the kind of sensors that they do in Vision Pro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think Quest has like eye tracking. I think the Pro did, but no one bought the Pro.
Yeah.
So, and there's no way any of these new ones that we'll talk about later, and there's no way any of the new ones don't have any form of eye tracking. So, yeah.
Another article, and I'll go through this quickly because we've got more to get to, but the future of Apple Vision Pro may add more touch controls. Did anybody not see this coming? Different places where you're able to press on the frame and have the pressure register to be able to impact whatever you're looking at or whatever you're doing. I don't know. Did anybody not see this coming? And then another article, Your Eyes Aren't Enough, Apple's next Vision Pro breakthrough. And it talks about the problem with gaze only and goes into the touch features or the potential touch features again. As I'm looking at this, I'm thinking back to the first time with the first version of Vision Pro, and all you had was the finger movements, basically. And how many times you had to practice your swipes to be able to get things. And how different it is just in 18 months based essentially on software upgrades. And with it putting in software to be able to learn things about your movements. And so, 18 months ago, I would have been hoping they would have come out with other devices, and maybe some of the development is this adds to that purpose that now people have choices about interacting with the headset besides just their hand movements or their finger movements.
I actually didn't see it coming. I just didn't think about it. And I'm not going to say it wouldn't be welcome to some different touch interaction on the headset, physically on it. But I don't know. Even in giving demos to people, do you find that's even just to find even the crown or the what do they even call the other button? I don't even know. In times I've had people try to show to them, they have trouble even finding where those are. And so then now if we're talking like capacitive ones or whatever, I don't know. I would expect them to actually put more in on gestures than sort of like haptic, like touch surfaces. And really, like from a input standpoint, I need to see them improve on text input.
Yeah.
That's where they really need to do most of their work, because then that'll unlock a lot of usability, and then you could really start to have those discussions on like, could this replace your smartphone?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you're talking about in terms, but remember when you put the headset on, or if you're guesting it to somebody, or if you put it on sloppy, you get that frame of the ski mask, and it's like tells you which button to reach up and press, whether it's the crown or the other display button, I think they call it. I'm not sure what it's called.
What do they call it on the watch, right? Because it's the crown and the...
Oh,
I don't even know if
the other button
on the watch. The button. The Apple Pay button. I mean, kind of.
Okay, we have got like a series of, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 articles that we'll put in the show notes so you can get to them. But the whole thing is based on this information that came out. And Daniel, I'm going to rely on you, although Eric, I'm sure you've got some ideas about this too, but just because it's in a code doesn't naturally mean it's going to show up. And Eric just typed in our chat, it's the top button and the digital crown. So isn't the top button?
But they're both on top.
They're both on top. Yeah. Anyways, so the whole idea was, and this has started 2 weeks ago. And again, this is another thing that's flooding the news media outlets, that there was code found in some information. I think it was from Germany where they found the code that said that there was going to be an M4 or an M5 chip in the next Vision Pro 2. And everybody took off from there. And Daniel, do you have any ideas about that? Does it mean it's actually going to happen because it's in the code?
No. I don't know. Maybe I hope it'd be nice. I mean, it's not unusual to see SKUs essentially of different models that exist in builds beforehand. There was many of future products that were kind of revealed this way. I just can't remember off the top of my head. So it's definitely not unheard of to find out this way.
Yeah, but the code doesn't say we're going to have Vision Pro 2 on December 1st, 2025 with an M5 or an M4 chip in it. It's just written to indicate that sometime there might be one of those chips in there. You'd assume they'd put the code in there because it's going to be applicable, but there's no way of predicting when it's going to wind up on the next version. And for those who are watching the video, I'm just kind of flipping through some of the articles that we have and you can find in the show notes. Eric, do you have any thoughts on this? Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think at best it could tell you that they're testing it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they've been testing it, but like builds that people have some access to are being tested on it, which then could align like, oh, if we're expecting so-and-so build out in November, that might indicate that it would be compatible. So that's an eligible window. Perhaps they might want to release the hardware.
Yeah, I figure they're testing both an M4 and an M5 version, or have tested that in the past. And a lot of it's going to be, when does it actually ship? Given how long the M2 has had to survive in the Vision Pro, I don't see them coming out with a chip and then changing it, a year later. I'm thinking it will run for a while, 2 to 3 years, until they have a new type of vision device. So, it would be reasonable to try to go with an M5, but that doesn't mean that that's what they'll pick.
Yeah, well, think about this. There have been other devices that Apple has put out that have had the most advanced chip over the other line. So I think an iPad came out with a chip that was a new chip, had been introduced at that point and was not on any other device. And this might be an interesting piece because if they put an M5 on it, it'll be the first Apple device that has an M5. It also will be a limited amount of devices. So it's not like they have to crank out 10 million of these things. So it might be based on how their sourcing is for the chip. It might be a good idea to kind of put it on something like an Apple Vision Pro device, boosting the device, the interest in the device, and limiting, kind of containing how many M5s you got to play with, giving the device a chip that no one else has or hasn't had before. And as Justin and Cletus have kind of pointed out in the chat room, it's not a done deal that it's an M5. There's an article that came out in 9 to 5 Mac that says, don't count on an M4 powered Apple Vision Pro just yet. And it comes down to the differences between what Gurman has reported, and Gurman is insisting that it's an M4, and Ming-Chi Kuo is saying it's an M5. The article is fascinating. It explains those differences where Kuo had talked about the 5 and Gurman has been insistent on the M4. And whoever wins that argument with the next version will have my undying love and devotion.
If there's other rumors about other M5 products in testing. So, and you know how they do CPUs for anyone not, familiar with the binning process, right? It's not going to have like an M5 Pro Max, right? It's going to have the lowest end M5 that, it's like, oh, this one's like serviceable. I mean, more than serviceable. So if they're doing a bunch of that and they're going to sell a bunch of Pros and Maxes, they can afford to dump the lowest end one in it because they're just going to spin up a ton of them. You might as well just put it in there if we're doing a new product. And I can't imagine, physically speaking, it would be a humongous lift to be an M4 versus an M5. Physically speaking, like in putting it in the unit, other than managing like thermals, but that you could just detune it in software to manage thermals. So I mean, and maybe there's a question on how they do their chip ordering, right? Because they probably, I wonder now, since they're manufacturing their own silicon, if they ordered enough M4s for their entire product line up to the M5s. So then when they order the M5s, they're just going to order their entire product line up to the M6. So then why would they have an M4, a new product with the M4, if the timing works out with the rest of their supply chain?
Explain. I mean, I think I know what binning is. I'm not sure all of our listeners or viewers would know what binning is on a chip. Can you explain that, Daniel?
Yeah. Best I can would be, say, somebody's making a CPU and let's say just it has, like Intel's making one and they offer one with 8 cores. But they also sell one with 6 cores and one with 4 cores and whatever. Well, the one with 4 cores may have actually had 5. So they turned off one because like one failed it had 5 good ones. So then they turned off the 5th one, and then they just sell it as 4, and then 2, and so on. I'm sure somebody's going to get really irritated with that explanation, but like that's kind of what it is, right? Like, because it's not a perfect fab processes, so it's like, well, how can we kind of salvage these in a way, right? And then design the chips in a way where we can still bake in that, that yield, right? We can get more yield out of it, being mindful of not every one is going to be manufactured perfectly.
Eric, you got anything to add on this?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen an M5. We've seen the M4s. So in their testing, maybe there's some feature of the M5 that either makes it more power efficient or makes it a better option for the Vision Pro. There were the rumors about having to have a chip with a bunch of extra cores or tweaked or modified to handle the special needs of the Vision Pro. That sounds like a modified M4, but maybe M5 already has enough that you didn't have to do extra tweaking. I'm not sure. I mean, I am sure they are testing a bunch of different options, and I don't know if they know for sure which one's going to work. It wouldn't surprise me if we get something like a mini or an iPad or something like that with an M5 first. A mini would be convenient because it's easy to use as a developer for testing things. iPad because it's a very similar OS. So, I'm not sure which is better. To me, I guess it doesn't really matter. Something faster than an M2 that can handle doing a little bit more, maybe, be a little bit faster, a little more efficient, or slightly cooler running code. I've noticed if you go and take spatial photographs and then you put them on a Vision Pro and then press the button to make them spatial again, the images look a lot cleaner. They feel better. There's less strain on your eyes. They kind of balance out. That, to me, that's an indication that they're doing a bunch of extra adjustments, and having a little more power will make that easier. And if you can do that in a video in real time, that's just an extra bonus. Yeah. So I think they will go for as much processing power as they can manage to cram in, and they're not in a rush.
Well, I have my Apple bank account ready to go as soon as they are. And I hope they don't upgrade any other devices other than the Apple Vision Pro before Christmas, because I don't think my bank account can manage that. However,
Mine
I know
definitely will not.
Yeah. I know Daniel is really excited about this next topic, the competition, and a couple of announcements of different kinds of glasses coming. Vivo's, this is one of these announcements that has, I don't know, it's good and it's bad. It's like, hey, guess what? We're going to tell you something really important, August 21st. Please let us, please pay attention, because we're going to tell you something really important. We're going to have a new mixed reality headset launching on August 21st. Launching. Not for sale necessarily, but launching. And so as you read the article, there are little pieces of disappointment in it. Like, great, it's going to launch in 3 days. What's the cost? They're not telling you that. It's going to be part of a annual conference where they're going to share, announce it at 2:30 p.m. That is 12 noon IST. The launch will coincide with the company's annual imaging festival. But we don't know much about it. Earlier reports indicated the headset might feature a 4-nanometer Qualcomm Snapdragon platform. More details are expected before the official launch. Well, that's cool. So we can maybe hear something about it in the next 3 days. Daniel, any thoughts on this? You really pay attention to other market headsets more so than I do.
I mean, it's kind of hard to have any other thought on it until the 21st. But I would take the bet that we won't be able to buy one in the US.
We won't be able to?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, actually, even says right here, launch in China. It probably won't come out in the US. And all these other ones, really, I don't think any of them have come to the US officially. And then speaking of the competition, and the only one that would probably bring one, where's the Samsung one again?
Who knows
we all forget
where the
about
Samsung one is? Yeah. That was a big splash of nothing. That was a big nothing burger that they gave the information, or they made the announcement with no information. No cost estimates, no operating system estimates, other than it's probably going to be Android. But what Android? I mean, yeah, there's nothing on Samsung since they made that announcement about a month ago.
But we'll see. I mean, always happy to see more competition, because I really do believe that these form factors admittedly suck, but I really do believe now the software experiences that we have will be the future, 100%.
I just think that they're missing out on an opportunity to have little gift bags where everyone gets swim goggles with LED lighting, and later on you can drop in internals for a whole headset, or not.
You just gave the framework laptop, make it like a modular headset. You just gave them all an idea. They're gonna have little Legos you put into some goggles,
Yeah.
Which actually I say that jokingly, but that is actually a lot of Pimax does. You can swap out the displays. So you want OLEDs, swap them in. You want high refresh rate, IPS ones, I think, swap them in. You just get the modules, you put it in. It's that's cool. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
In the chat, Justin mentioned nobody's talking about the R chip, though, right? Could an M5 handle some of the R processing, like better pass-through, etc.? They are talking about one of the articles that we mentioned a couple of weeks ago was a prediction that it's going to be an M5 or an M4, and they're going to do some improved neural networking. So we might look at some different chip to manage that in addition to whatever the M4 or M5 is. But a good call, Justin, to ask those kind of questions. And also, is there any chance the M4/M5 AVP costs more? I think it would be suicide if they did any more than the $3,500 price tag for it.
Yeah, I don't think they would change the price right now. They won't lower it. I don't think they'll raise it, though.
Well, Dan, you made a good point before. If they're getting ready to ramp up production and come out with M5s in, like the minis and in the MacBook Pros and whatever, and are going to have high volume sales, then, it might end up being less expensive to put an M5 in, assuming you can get enough chips, as opposed to an M4.
And that's always been, that's what everyone says. Tim Cook's that's his whole deal. He's really good at supply chain. That was always his thing. So it wouldn't surprise me if that is how they're doing that. Just buying in bulk. They have way more than enough for their whole product line to the next one. Wouldn't surprise me.
So let's get back to another competitor. The Meta Smartglasses could be a fraction of Apple's Vision Pro. The cost, a fraction of Apple Vision Pro. This is again based on Gurman, and they put the whole article together on Android headlines, and Meta's upcoming smart glasses, codenamed Hypernova. I don't know if I'm wearing glasses, do I want to look into a Hypernova? They're expected to launch with a built-in display and an estimated $800 price tag, far cheaper than the $1,400 rumors and well below Apple Vision Pro. They don't mention Apple Vision Pro's price in here. Wow. The glasses will display notifications and run mini apps, making them a more practical upgrade from the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Frankly, the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, I own a pair of them, and they are greatly disappointing.
Really?
Yeah. What? I can walk around and I can ask it questions. Some of the time it answers the questions. I have a camera on it, and when I turn the camera on, a little light shows up on my eyeglasses, so everyone knows I'm recording them in the moment. And so what? I get to shoot video. I might as well take my phone out and do that. At least I'm being transparent about it and getting a better quality video. Yeah, really, I've got a pair. They're disappointing. Daniel, you want to, I'll sell them to you for $700.
Maybe for my partner, though, because I want to get him, he looks great in Ray-Bans, and he needs some transitions with progressive readers now. So we're like, hey, Smartglasses?
Yeah, I don't know about the transitions, but these are more like kind of the Elvis Costello Ray-Bans. They're, they're that kind of shape and size with it.
But these Meta ones, these seem like they just seem like, at least it sounds like Meta's take on even realities glasses. Small display, probably Apple Watch level functionality in terms of what can be shown and what can be done on it, which is not a knock, because I would like an Apple equivalent to that. Put Apple Watch on face, that's just normal glasses. I'm sold all day. So if that's a Meta take on it, I'm looking forward to see it. It'll be pretty cool.
It's interesting. Now that I think maybe we have the design right, we're reverting to what was essentially Google Glass, giving you mobile information, but it doesn't look, you don't look like a cyborg. You look like Elvis Costello walking around. And it gives you, I love that interface, but it was just too creepy for people.
And now it's no big deal. And you have to wonder how much they were molding because they were just so ahead. They were right. And which happens all the time again in tech. But, if I were them, I'd be pissed. I'm like, man, we did all that and this, that, and another. And then, glass hole and this, that.
Yeah,
and of course,
I was going to say, all good things at Google must come to an end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they kill those products that we really like, or that I've really liked. And the glass was one of them. So
they're really careful not to have a date. And it could cost a fraction of something that we don't know what, so who knows?
Yeah. You know how much it's going to cost? It's going to cost how much a certain percentage or proportion of potential buyers will pay for it. That's the answer to that question.
Oh, and actually probably a lot of that too is you have no idea what kind of tariffs or things you're going to be under at any given hour. So you don't even want to talk about price until it's closer. Yes. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And Justin just wrote R.I.P. Stadia.
I love Stadia.
What was Stadia, Daniel?
Game streaming, like NVIDIA GeForce Now. It worked really well. Of course, you obviously had the internet. I played Cyberpunk 2077 on it. I had faster input to draw render time, faster than actually what my computer would technically do. It was like 4 milliseconds. It's like, this is technically faster. What the hell? That's great.
Very cool.
Well, occasionally like to publish these articles that you might say are puff pieces, but really kind of put the Vision Pro in a good place. And this one came out of Apple Magazine, and it's called Mastering Vision OS, Tips for Using Apple Vision Pro on the Go. So it's all about travel. And it's a nice article. It's informative. And if you are a Vision Pro user and owner, I would say take a look at this article. It's just a nice, I don't want to say short, I don't want to say long, but it's a nice review of the kinds of things that you can do if you're traveling with the Vision Pro. So cheers to them and Apple Magazine. Frankly, I haven't seen pieces come out in Apple Magazine that weren't meant to stir things up. They were meant to inform you. And this is it's a good piece that came out, I think.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, this is another piece. This came out in a magazine I haven't heard of, or a site I haven't heard of, Tech Announcer, and explore the exciting world of Vision Pro games in 2025. Now, that might be contradictive to say that it's an exciting world of games in Vision Pro 25. I'll leave that up to Daniel to comment, but this article does have talks about the evolving landscape, the new controller support that's going to happen. Apple Arcade is now a part of that, and that's a growing contribution. Immersive experiences, developer opportunities with spatial gaming, and other good things in here. Social gaming, shared experiences, educational and creative applications. This is a nice long article that talks about all the things that Apple Vision Pro can do, and from a gaming standpoint. Any ideas, Daniel?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to talk about a lot of gaming in general on any Apple devices because most of them are casual games that I just don't really ever have much of a interest in. But the addition of the Sony VR controllers, which also I'm just realizing I don't think we know when, if certainly they're going to sell them separately when iOS or Vision OS 26 comes out, or shortly after, because you still can't buy them without buying the whole PSVR 2 kit. But I don't think that's controller support is going to be huge to introducing like VR gaming, like formal like PC VR or other VR gaming on the Vision Pro. But I don't think we'll see the fruit of that for probably, we'll probably see some kind of homebrewy PC streaming within, actually there's already support for it now on some of the test flights. I haven't seen how well they work yet because I don't have the controllers myself either. But then more formal support, I don't think we'll see the fruit of this effort until maybe 6 months at a minimum. But more inputs, really, I think actually kind of earlier about the input problem and saying they need to figure out text input. Really, we just need to figure out better input altogether for the device, right? Like the eyes and the pinching, perfect. But everything else now, it's far too precise, where that's a very rough tool. And so with the VR controllers, the Sony ones, there's that Logitech pen thingamadoodle. That'll be interesting to see. And then other kinds of input that might come out. Who knows? I am playing with some ideas in my free time, just to explore as proof of concepts as well. So we might see some different things. Really, that's actually more of another area I'm personally looking into, is any advancements in human input devices, because those are the two things that kind of really do a lot for computers, right? It's displays and input devices. Look at those two things, and you can pretty much figure out where everything else is going to go. I guess batteries as well, but yeah.
Yeah, and Justin has a comment in the chat room. What's going on with Sony? You think Sony would have to had a big rollout like Resident Evil Village VR or something?
Oh, wait. Well,
yeah. What, you want to talk about Alien Earth?
Oh, no, and I'm not even familiar with the franchise.
Eric,
it was scary.
Did you?
Man, I
So
don't
did you?
I don't like horror movies. I don't like horror films. I went to see Aliens because somebody told me it was a romantic comedy, and I was not amused.
What
This is well done, though.
what did you think? It was like someone from the U.S. meets some foreign person and they fall in love together?
On the ship, right? And they stop by and pick up a couple of things and they move on and happy endings. But no, it was
there was a lot of face
nightmares.
sucking. There was a lot of face sucking going on that ship.
Not in a good way.
Aliens. Yeah.
At any rate, they did an awesome job with this environment. You've got background sounds and lights and noise. You get the kind of sparks, electrical sparks coming off with hints of kind of smoke. You get the dripping water. And I mean, it's all the things that in a game or a movie you would see in the opening scenes, and then never really after that. But here you just have it, and you can start a TV show or a movie and watch it in the environment, and you hit stop, and then you get surprises, and it's very enjoyable. Except that I don't like to be scared, and I was scared, and that part was not enjoyable. I had to eat a lot of stress M&Ms to get through that.
Well, I'm glad you took one for the team. I have not been in the environment yet, so I'm glad you did that.
It does take it takes a little while to download, so plan that part and look up.
Yeah, I was kind of aliened out after the third Alien movie. Then we got into like Resurrection.
There's 3 of them?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, the second one was done by David Fincher, I think, and I like David Fincher as a director. That was Aliens. So anyway, yeah, after that I kind of dropped interest in the
whole franchise.
Yeah, the whole franchise and the whole monster. But then there were Alien versus Predators. Yeah, I did watch a few of those.
Oh.
But yeah, you're not going to stick my head in a machine where they're all around me. So,
see, I like the derelict ship with the cute parrots wandering around, or maybe the rats or whatever. There really is no need to have scary aliens.
Okay,
I believe they did, but I would have been happy even without that. But the sounds and the audio and everything, yeah, it was really well done. I almost could like horror if everything was kind of like that. Almost. You'd have to sleep with my eyes open.
Justin wants to know, did you go with a date to when you saw what you thought was the romantic comedy, the rom-com Alien?
Yeah. And there's no date activities when everybody's scared to death. Well, yeah, there's no relaxing, it was just panic stuck in the chair for however long the movie went. And then everybody wanted to go home afterwards. Just not a good time. Now, I think if you got somebody that really liked horror, yeah, all right, fine. Everybody's hugging each other and consoling each other and all that kind of stuff. But no, I don't have time for that in a horror movie.
All right.
Bad memories.
Let's move on to the app that we're going to talk about this week. So the app that I want to talk about this week, the app that I stumbled into today, which was kind of fun as I was upgrading to Beta 7, is an app called What the Car. And I'm familiar with the group because I think they do What the Golf. No, they don't do Sneaky Sass. Oh, Sneaky Sass Car. What the heck?
I got to play that one.
This is, What the Golf is a game where you are kind of a silly puppet golf player, and you have to go through a bunch of obstacles, and there's physics involved in it, and there are trick shots and things like that. and it's kind of fun. I'm familiar with it on the iPhone, which is if I play any games, that's where I'm generally playing games. And I got pulled into that game just because of the popularity of it, What the Golf. And then I saw this in Vision Pro, and I believe it's available on other devices. So on the iPhone, iPad, the Mac. And then with Vision Pro, I've switched to this in our screen. It's really pretty cool. And you're kind of directing your car. You've got a steering wheel that pops out. So when you open up the app, like a stage opens up in front of you with controls on it and a view of where your car is. And there is a steering wheel out there. You reach up and you grab the steering wheel and it comes out at you in 3 dimensions. And
neat.
In that sense, it's really very neat. Let me see if I can run that again. Yeah, there you go. And it comes out in 3 dimensions, and then you control your movement by controlling the car. Now, there are additional hand movements, like if you want to honk, you put your you touch your 2 fingers together, your finger and your thumb, index finger and thumb, and I presume there are other gestures. There is a tutorial on it if you want to take the tutorial, and you can learn about all those functions, but it's pretty fun. Anything more from you guys?
Let's see. Did we talk about Spatial Gallery?
Not about, is there something new in Spatial Gallery that you want to share?
Yeah, so August 14th, there from the Netherlands, there's a sequence of tulip fields that's really well done. You know, like a little wind going through, moving the plants, and you get the nice depth. That was pretty cool. And then August 7th, there was a gondola ride up a snow-covered slope, but evidently it's snow-encased trees. It's just a neat view.
Okay.
Very stunning. So both of those are worth looking at.
Cool. I'll put that in the notes so folks will be able to pick that up. Remember, we do live streams every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time at YouTube, youtube.com/@visionprofiles. And you can join us there live, or you can pick up the video later at youtube.com/@visionprofiles. That's our channel. We've had some remarkable folks in the chat room. Thank you for coming along. Thank you for keeping a conversation going. We've had Agent Dax, Justin, Cletus, and other folks in here. Dave Ginsburg has joined us virtually, at least through the chat room. And we had some other folks on at the beginning, but at a time currently we have 9 people watching, which is pretty cool. So it's fun when they interact, when they make comments, and we get a chance to talk about that. So I appreciate their joining. Vision Pro Notes is our feed of short news stories. And I can tell you the next one Wednesday morning is going to be about whatever I can find out with regard to the Beta 7, and hopefully Apple will update its notes on there. But we do it 3 times a week, Wednesday morning, Monday morning, and Friday morning. You can expect a 5 to 10 minute little blurb on what's new with Vision Pro. Guys, anything else you want to share before you can tell us where we can find you, Eric?
Yeah, I don't have anything else, but while I'm dodging humidity, I can be found on Mastodon at EA Bolden at mas.to, posting plant and bird pictures. Otherwise, here on Vision Profiles on Mondays, Tuesdays on Mac Voices from macOS, and on Thursdays on In Touch with iOS, covering iOS and iPadOS, and the kind of another overview. So we get in all of our OS fix for the week.
Daniel, anything you want to share in terms of how people can get a hold of you?
Yeah, I can be reached on Blue Sky The handle is IO Expander. IO Expander. Otherwise, I'm not really active anywhere else at the moment, but I'm gonna have like a personal website up sometime soon, since I need to have more of a digital presence in the world lately. So.
Okay, we'll be excited if you're willing to share that when that time happens. If you're willing to do that.
Oh yeah, that totally. I mean, that's part of the intention to setting that.
In the meantime, IO Expander at Blue Sky.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thank you for tuning in. We'd love to hear from our listeners. Thanks, chat room. If you have any ideas or want to join an episode, email us at thepodtalknetwork@gmail.com. Our bumper music is Free Jazzy by Steve Combs, courtesy of the Free Music Archive. Learn more about us and the Vision Profile podcast at our website, thepodtalk.net. Also, other podcasts that I'm involved in and that I work on and that I've developed. So take a look at thepodtalk.net. Spread the word to other visionaries. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.